He killed the shaman first. That is important. A ruler of mighty Jin, sick, frightened, and haunted by a dream of a long-haired spirit beating its chest at the palace gate, Duke Jing was told he would not live to taste the season's new wheat. So when the grain finally arrived, he summoned the prophet, displayed the wheat like a personal victory, and had her executed on the spot. Then, just before the first bite, his stomach swelled, he hurried to the privy, and fate opened a hole beneath him. By noon, a servant who had dreamed of carrying his lord to heaven was dragging his body back out. A great duke, an incurable illness, a triumphal bowl of wheat, and the earliest toilet punchline in Chinese history. The question is not whether he died. It's who exactly had already written the joke. Yesterday's Craziness presents The Strangest Deaths from Throughout History, a monthly video celebrating someone's untimely demise in a strange, crazy, or interesting way. He killed the prophetess, admired the new wheat, and prepared to enjoy the small pleasure of being right. Duke Jing of Jin, one of the most powerful rulers in spring and autumn China, had been told he would not live to taste the season's first grain. On the day it was finally served, he made sure she watched her own prediction fail. Then he stepped away to the privy, fell into the pit, and died before a single bite reached his mouth. Death, in this case, arrived with impeccable timing. Duke Jing was no minor noble fated for a footnote. He ruled Jin, the great northern state that for generations had stood near the center of Zhou politics, a power measured in armies, alliances, and the anxious attention of rival courts. But his reign was not serene. Jin had suffered reversals against Chu. Its court was thick with aristocratic rivalry, and Duke Jing himself had blood on the political ledger. Years earlier, he had ordered the deaths of Zhao Tong and Zhao Kuo, men of the Zhao lineage. That matters because the story of his end begins, like so many ancient warnings, with a dream. According to the Zhuan, the Duke saw a great demon, hair hanging to the ground, beating its chest at the palace gate. It accused him plainly, "You have slain my descendants unjustly, and I have already taken my grievance to heaven." Later, scholars linked that apparition to the wronged Zhao house. Duke Jing woke shaken and summoned the shaman of Sangtian. He asked what the dream meant. The answer was cruelly specific. He would not taste the new wheat. Then came the illness. The Duke grew seriously sick and sent to Qin for a physician. The diagnosis was almost surgically hopeless. The disease, the doctor said, sat above the heart and below the throat, too deep for medicine, beyond the reach of the needle. Duke Jing, to his credit, recognized skill even in bad news, rewarded the physician, and sent him home. But recognition is not the same thing as acceptance. When the 6th month arrived and the fresh wheat was presented, the Duke chose defiance. He had the shaman brought in, showed her the grain, and had her executed. That should have been the end of the prophecy. The harvest was real, the bowl was in front of him, and the court must have seen the logic. Heaven had missed its cue. But as the food was being prepared, Duke Jing suddenly became bloated and went to relieve himself. The Zhuan is brisk, almost cold in its precision. He went to the privy, fell in, and died, not in battle, not in ceremony, not under a banner. The ruler of Jin was defeated by a stomach, a hole in the floor, and a timetable he thought he had beaten. The aftermath only made the story stranger. A servant had dreamed that very morning that he carried the Duke on his back up to heaven. By midday, he was carrying the Duke's corpse out of the latrine instead, and was later buried as an attendant in death. The tale endured because it compressed an entire worldview into one brutal anecdote: guilt, omen, medicine, pride, humiliation. It is even remembered as the earliest textual mention of a Chinese latrine. Duke Jing tried to make prophecy look ridiculous. Instead, he gave history one of its finest demonstrations, that fate does not need grandeur. Sometimes it is content with perfect punctuation. If you liked what you watched, please like and subscribe. We post interesting and crazy stories from throughout history every Wednesday and Saturday. Yesterday's craziness? Because yesterday was crazy too.